Okay, so welcome to Director Bound call number 4. First, I just wanted to take 1 minute and congratulate you guys for successfully getting through the first month. I know that this program is not always easy and it requires a lot from you guys, and it's showing and it's paying off with our 3 team leader promotions last month. Candy, Christy, and Nicole. Congratulations to you guys. Very, very exciting. Christy's actually about 5 seconds away from promoting to director. She just got her 5th person in her downline this week. So this program is definitely paying off. And even for those of you who haven't added team members, I see that you're pushing yourselves. I see that you're submitting the parties. So hopefully the things that you're learning and the things that you're hearing are resonating. Whether you're seeing the results right now or not, they will come. Changes tend to take time, even if you're making the changes in your behavior. Sometimes it can take up to 2 months for you to start to see results. So don't give up and don't stop pushing, because you will see the results from the changes in your action. Anyway, let me share the screen. Hold on 1 second. Let me get to the screen I want to share before I share it. Okay. Let me share the screen with you guys. All right. So today's topic is inform and invite. We're going to talk about building a team, which everybody here, everybody in this program wants to become a director. So building a team is the way to become a director. The way to build a team is to share our business opportunity, and there are people out there that need us, and to share the opportunity with them. We're going to talk about informing people, telling them what the opportunity is, and then inviting them to join us on the opportunity. So, how has everybody's host coaching been since our call last week? I want to hear some of you and how your successes have been going since last week. What have you seen as a result of your increased host coaching? And whoops, I put the wrong months in there. Did you add any bookings to your November, December calendars since your host coaching from 2 weeks ago, our last call? So anybody want to speak up?
I added a couple.
You added a couple for the next 6 weeks?
No, for November. I'm working on December now, but we'll see. I'm at a party now. I'm hoping to get a few parties from that, and I just started another one, or I just set it up tonight, and it's starting tomorrow. So we'll see.
Have you been following some of the host coaching guidelines we talked about? What kind of results are you seeing from them? How are you feeling about host coaching?
Well, this party that I'm ending now is a really tough one. I've been host coaching through the whole thing. The last party I had, she was awesome. As soon as I reminded her about how it was right after I watched the last call, but I had contacted her and I was just like, okay, you need to do this. You need to be a little more active. You need to post it on your page, and all of that stuff. And as soon as she started doing that, everybody seemed to start being involved, which she's like, you were so right. It felt good.
It's like, you should listen to me.
Everyone
to me. Listen.
Right. But I think some of them don't actually read the email that you send out, and, you send out the package. They don't really read that. They look at the catalog that you send, So 2 days into the party, I contacted her and I was just like, okay, you need to do this and this and this and this, and your party's going to be a lot more successful. It's been proven. And the next day she was like, you were right.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is trying to reach people through different mediums, because you never know who's going to read the email versus who's going to read the insert with the catalog versus who's going to read your text message versus who needs a phone call. I feel like everybody hears differently. They may not fully hear what you're saying until you hit them from the right angle.
Absolutely. And I found that reaching out to her through Messenger, she had to read it. You know what I mean? So I did that with the host I have now, but I don't know if she's really busy or what it is, but She likes things. She comments maybe once a day.
Okay.
And I keep reminding her, but there hasn't been a whole lot of success with that party. But I think this new one's going to be great because she's so excited about it, So.
Good host is the make or break of your party.
So true.
Next up, are you tracking your contacts? Remember, we spoke in the last webinar about maintaining a log of your contacts. And I know a couple of you in the conversations that I had after the webinar said that that's one of the things that really stuck in your head was that you should be tracking your contacts, your booking leads, your recruiting leads, instead of just having them and like scrolling back through your conversations that you're having on your phone to actually track. How are you guys doing with your tracking leads? Has anybody implemented a new tracking system or a tracking system at all? Has anybody changed how they're following up on their leads in the last couple of weeks?
I've actually started tracking better, but I've been tracking like on the notes on my phone. I haven't been.
That's fine, Melinda. I mean, if you don't have a pad with you, then the note section, I do everything on the note thing on my phone. So
I know, but like I was thinking about what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to create an Excel spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't gotten to that point yet. I've done everything on my phone, but like I want to sit down and have it where I can just look at it. Maybe not an Excel spreadsheet, but maybe like a Word document or whatever.
Talk to Michelle, Melinda. Talk to Michelle because
Okay.
Michelle has an Excel spreadsheet. She does it in an Excel spreadsheet, so I'm sure she'd be happy to share what it looks like with you. Maybe that can
Okay.
help get you started.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, I do everything in a note. I have multiple notes on my phone, but I keep it in notes on my phone or in Evernote, so everything's on my phone. But I know Michelle does Excel. All right. Next up is 3-2-1. So I think we've spoken about this a number of times right now. Successful consultants always do 3-2-1 consistently every week, every day, which is 3 contacts a day, 2 shows a week, 1 recruit a month. It really is a magic formula. If you follow the 3, you'll get the 2. If you follow the 2, you'll get the 1. If you follow the 3-2-1, you'll get the promotion to director that you're looking for, and you'll get a successful, long-lasting career with the Pampered Chef. Has anybody followed through with the 3-2-1 or tried to follow through with the 3-2-1 in the last 2 weeks?
Trying.
I'm trying. I'm not consistent with that, but I'm trying to get consistent.
Okay. Jackie, sorry, I thought it was Candy that was talking. It's okay.
I've actually been doing it not every day, but I've been doing it every few days, reaching out to at least 3 people. I've gone back to my the Google Docs spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been, and I can't believe this, but there are so many on there that were like interested in a party or a workshop, and I hadn't contacted them. So I've been contacting them, but I haven't really gotten any positive responses from them yet. One person said no, another person didn't answer, and it's pretty much been that way this week, but I'm going to continue.
Okay, great. And remember, if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
So true.
So if you put yourself out there and you get a no, then shake it off and move on to the next one. But if you don't ask, you'll never hear yes.
Yep.
On to the next one. What did you learn from last week's homework? So the call that you guys were supposed to listen to from last week was the Make It Impactful call. Did you guys listen to that? Does anybody have their notes or what their takeaways were from that call? I know Jackie and Melinda are both not at home right now, so you may not have your notes on you. Candy, do you have
I have the wrong one.
the wrong one? Okay,
I
then.
have party book.
All right, it's okay. I'll move on from this then. All right, sharing the opportunity. So now let's get into the meat about what this training is about. There are 3 steps to sharing the opportunity. There's informing, inviting, and the opportunity chat. Tonight we're going to talk about the first 2, which is informing and inviting, and our next training is going to be on the opportunity chat. So what is the difference between informing and inviting? So when you inform your guests about the opportunity, it's strictly informational. You're giving them the information to help create an interest in the business or in the business opportunity. Examples of this are when you tell your story, or when you plant recruiting seeds at a cooking show, showing an item saying this came in my kit, or this is something that I earned for free, and going over the questions on either your Google Doc if you're virtual, or your door prize slip if you're at an in-home. Also, you're also informing when you play any sort of recruiting games. So whether it's the ticket game or whatever recruiting games you're playing. Inviting is when you actually and specifically invite a guest individually to learn more about the business. It's not inviting them to sell, it's inviting them to learn more about the business on a one-on-one basis. It might be as simple as asking them to join you for a cup of coffee or for breakfast or something, or just for a quick phone call, whatever's convenient. So you want to make sure that you're always informing, because if you're not informing, you're not going to be able to invite. So informing can happen at different points of the show, whether you're at a cooking show or a virtual show. It's obviously structured a little bit differently. At a cooking show, the first time that you can inform is during your group hello, when you welcome your guests and you introduce yourself. This is when you tell them about yourself and you learn a little bit about them. At this point, you may choose to tell them a little bit about your story, and I'm going to talk a little more in a later slide about your story and how everybody should have a well-rehearsed 30-second commercial of what their story is. Some people choose to do that part at the end of their show versus the beginning of the show. I personally do that at the beginning. I open up with introducing myself and telling my story. You'll also want to sprinkle the recruiting seeds throughout the show. If you're doing a station style show, you may want to focus on a particular power tool and talk about how you earn that power tool. Or if you're doing a demo style show, you can, do it throughout your show and talk about how the rock that you're demoing for them is $119, and for only $40 more than that, they can buy their own kit, try the business. It's only $32 difference, and show them how much more they can get for that $32. You may want to mention some of the other perks of being a consultant as well, like earning the trips. Excuse me. Or if you're doing an in-home party, you can say, while I'm standing here with you right now, I also have 2 Facebook parties running. So people can really see how many different avenues you can be making money at the same time. Another time that you're going to want to share information is at your confident close, as you're wrapping up the party. So at that point, you'll go over the questions that are on the survey slip or the door prize. And it's not really about giving away the prize. It's really about collecting the leads. The prize is just your way to get the lead. When you get your slips, you're almost always going to see a majority of them are going to say no. And you'll notice that on your Google Docs too. Sorry, guys. I have a dry throat. That the responses are almost always going to be no. But it's when you speak to the people and you dig a little further that you'll see that there's often actually a yes behind the no, or a maybe, or an I'm interested in hearing more information. You can talk, some of the words that you can say are, we've talked a little bit tonight about how amazing my job is, but I'm sure you didn't come here looking for a job. But if you saw what I did and you think it's fun, wouldn't you want to do something like this and make a little bit of extra money? You should really think about giving the business a try. Or talk to them about how when you're buying a new consulting kit, you aren't signing up to sell for the next 20 years. You can do one party and decide if it's for you. We can go on a date. We're not getting married. You can talk about it a couple different ways and approach it so people don't feel like they're signing their name in blood. You may explain to them, you need to let them see that this really could be for them and that this business really is for everybody. And there are so many different ways that this business can help different people. Okay. So when you're doing a show, whether it be in-home or virtual, there are certain red flag questions. So at an in-home, these may be questions that people blurt out to you. In a virtual, these may be questions that they ask you in the question slide, or they may ask you in a private conversation. But these are all red flag questions. So questions like, how many shows do you do a week? Are there many consultants in this area? Do you do all of your shows at night? Do you get to keep the product? Does your husband mind if you're doing this? Are those bags heavy? these are all red flag questions. You may think in your head, oh, wow, this girl's really interested in me. But actually, she's probably really interested in the business. Keep your answer short, a couple of sentences, and then come right out and say, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? Don't spend the whole time talking about yourself. Oh, what is that? Sorry. Don't spend the whole time talking about yourself. Put a little bit of information out there, inform, and then invite them to come and hear more in a one-on-one interview conversation. So in addition to red flag questions, there are also red flag behaviors that you can watch for. Obviously, it's easier. This is easier at cooking shows, red flag behaviors, because you don't really get to see people's behaviors too much in virtuals unless it's a really, really active virtual. So some of the red flag behaviors are notice and interact people who get there early or stay late. If people offer to help you, let them. Tell your story. Follow up with the hecklers in your crowd, and follow up with those who comment a lot that they already have a lot of the items that you're talking about. Besides the questions that they ask, you can really tell a lot about people by their behaviors. So something that I've had to learn and remind myself pretty much at every show is when people are offering to help you, it's not always necessarily that they're just being nice. They may want some extra time to talk to you and ask you questions. It's very easy to say, oh, no, I have a system, because you don't want them touching your stuff. You don't want them cleaning it wrong. You don't want them packing it wrong. But if you take a step back and you say, okay, absolutely, why don't you help me? You do this, I do that. Then you can chat with them and pick their brain. And they're very often somebody that's interested in the business, or at the very least interested in hosting a party. If someone has a lot of Pampered Chef, when you're speaking to them, you can tell them, be like, your comments during the party help me sell 5 mix and chops, or you help me sell 3 rock rocks, or help me sell a manual food processor because you were talking about how much you love yours. How easy was that? Imagine how much money you would make if you were the one standing up here, or something along those lines. Okay, so like what I was telling you before, your story is super important. Knowing your story and being able to say it in a short and relatable way is the deal breaker or the deal maker for getting recruits for you. Your story is going to be why you started with Pampered Chef, why you stay with Pampered Chef, and what you're excited about next. So I'm going to just tell you how I tell my story at an in-home show, and also I give like a shortened version of this in a virtual if somebody's asking me. But I try to keep it as short as possible, and I'll just come out and I'll say, when I had a 1-year-old at home and I was 8 weeks pregnant, I was working corporate retail for 15 years as a buyer. I was outside of my house for 50 to 60 hours a week, and I was miserable. I saw my baby an hour a day, and I had another baby on the way. And then I got laid off from my job. And in the moment that I got laid off from the career that I spent 15 years building up to, I had torn emotions about whether I should be crying or whether I should be celebrating. And I decided that very day on the train coming home from the city for that hour commute that I was going to do something different, that something else had to give, and that I wanted to be around my family more and have a better work-life balance. So I never in a million years thought that Pampered Chef was going to be a career. I figured I'd give it a shot, make some money to hold me over so I can spend some time with my babies, and then I would go back to work. Fast forward to almost 4 years. I've now earned 3 all-expense paid vacations with the company. I have a team of almost 60 people under me, and I make a full-time salary, and I've never had to think about going back to any sort of a full-time job. I'm so excited to see what's coming next as both myself and my team grow within the company. And if anybody out there today is interested in hearing more details, or if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer any of your questions. So I try to keep it short. I try to keep it really relatable to anybody out there. Anybody who's a working mother can relate to that. They can relate to the feeling of not seeing your kid enough. So I definitely get a lot of people asking me questions after I tell the story. And everybody's story's different. Some people may be much deeper stories. Some people, your story may just be that you started because you love the products and you wanted to get a discount. A lot of people are going to relate to that. Not everybody is looking for money. Everybody's story is different. But you never know who is going to be, who your story is going to resonate with. Okay, so some recruiting activities. there are all different recruiting activities out there. The one that I personally like to play at all of my cooking shows is the ticket game. The ticket game can be played a couple different ways. The way I play it is I give out tickets throughout the party whenever anybody helps me, whenever anybody asks a question. I usually take a short stack of tickets and I put it in my apron pocket. So whatever's left, once I'm done doing my demo, I say, all right, I have like 7 tickets left. Thank you. I have like 7 tickets left. The next 7 people that ask me a question about my business get an extra ticket before I do a drawing for whatever the prize is that I bought. And depending on the crowd, they generally get pretty competitive to get the tickets and they want the prize. I try to make it an interesting prize, not necessarily one of a high value, but something that they're interested in and that they would want. Another recruiting activity is something called Pass the Prize, which is similar to the ticket game, just you're not giving out tickets. The prize is passed around the room as people ask you questions. So say, here I'm giving the prize to Sally, and anytime anyone asks me a question about the business, the prize is going to get passed over to them. So whoever's holding the prize at the end of the show gets to keep it. And you're honestly in control of this because you can always say, oh, nobody has any questions. Hey, Jenny, you didn't want to ask me something? I think you want to ask me something. You always want to make sure that the person getting the prize, when you can control it, is someone who's actually interested. The envelope game is something that I used to do with a lot of my shows. I haven't been doing a ton of in-home, so the last couple that I've done, I have not done the envelope game. The way the envelope game works is you bring 3 envelopes, and in each envelope is an actual paycheck or a pay stub from someone within our organization. You can have 3 totally different types of consultants, and as the people open it, it'll say, it'll say the name of the consultant and how much money they made that month, and then you can ask them, how much do you think this person had to work for that? And then, you'll get all sorts of questions and conversations, and they'll say, okay, well, check number 1 is Sally. Sally made $560 last month. She left her house 1 time for 1 cooking show and did 4 virtual shows, and that's how much she made. And this next check is Michelle. Michelle is a senior director. Her check here is for $4,500. She did 4 in-home cooking shows, 2 virtual shows, and that's what her check is. And then you can show, I usually would like to bring one of the executives checks because that can show you show the realm, like someone who just started, someone who's in the middle of the career, and someone who's at the top of the ladder. And it'll be a check for, like, say, $1,500 or $10,000 or $1,500. And you can say, this is one of the executives with our company. She actually only did 4 cooking shows or 4 virtual shows or whatever this month, and that's how much she made. And it really shows people these are real people, and that's actually how much money you can make in this company. Then there's the Y bag, which I'm pretty sure Melinda, you're still here?
I am.
You've done the Y bag, right?
I have, and I love it.
Can you talk about it a little? Because I've actually never done the Y bag, but I know it's a very popular.
Okay, so in the Y bag, I have a bag, and it's usually it's usually the grocery bag, and I put in certain things of why I am in the business. So I put in a rubber band for the flexibility. I put in tap shoes or whatever activity my daughter is in or I want to get her in. Now I put in, I haven't had an in-home show in a while, but now I put in like Mickey Mouse thing because I like to go to Disney with Amelia. Excuse me. And then I usually put in either a credit card or just certain things that relate to me that is why I'm still in the business. So like getting out of debt or traveling to Disneyland or there's I want to adopt a baby. So then I usually put in the adoption application in there. And then I have them go around. Oh, and I do a Christmas, I usually do a Christmas ornament. And I have each person, not each person, but I have the people around there take out something out of the bag, and I have them tell me what it is, and then I tell them this is one of the reasons why I do what I do.
So the reason that that's great for recruiting is it's similar to telling your story. It's a great way for people to relate to you and to see why you do this. And, I'm sure there's someone within your crowd of, 5 to 25 people that's like, oh, wow, I would love to be able to take my kid to Disney, or, oh, wow, we just adopted a kid and we're still paying the bills off, or, you know, my daughter's been asking me to go to dance, or whatever it is that is your why. There's someone in that crowd who can relate to you. And the recruiting slide is what comes in everybody's kit. It's that like drop out piece of, I don't know, laminated paper or whatever, and it details out from the company all of the perks of being a consultant. And it's a great tool, especially if you're a newer consultant and you may get tripped up on what kind of things you want to say in your recruiting spiel. It's a great way to keep you on task. So sharing the opportunity in virtual parties. This is obviously a little bit different because you don't have the people right in front of you, but there's still a lot of ways to do it. So there's the Ask Me a Question post, which I think most of us do. We'll do a post in our virtual party, which is ask me a question about my job and get like 10 tickets or 10 points or whatever, which is similar to any of the ones that you do with the in-home. You could do a post about why I love being a consultant. You could do the commission check game where you have them guess how much your commission is for the month. Make sure you follow up with absolutely anybody who likes or comments about the business opportunity. You want to talk about the perks of being a consultant. Definitely do the Google survey and follow up with everybody from the Google survey. Do full service checkout, whether it be by calling the people or messaging, emailing. You want to make sure you contact and do a full service checkout with everybody and email every customer after the show. So these are just some great posts that are provided. The first couple are provided by the company. The other ones are just ones that have been floating around that are great to use for recruiting, whether it's in a party or whether it's in a party or even in your group or on your Facebook page. This is one from the company that details out why I love being a consultant. You know, these are just fun ones. Earn the money you need. Dig into all the perks. Life tastes great, this is the cover of the recruiting brochure. These next couple ones, these are ones that I've gotten floating around Facebook, which I think are great. A year from today, you'll wish you started today. Ask me anything. I'd love to answer your questions. So I've done things where I post something like this on my page, and I'm like, you know, once I get to 20 questions, anybody who asks me a question goes into a raffle for a free whatever item, free water bottle, mix and chop, whatever. Get people asking questions. Generally, the people asking questions are somewhat interested or just prize hounds, but you'll always get, most of them are people that are genuinely interested, so you'll know who to follow up with. If you want something in your life you've never had, you'll need to do something you've never done. These are all just thought-provoking posts. There's always room at our table, and this is at the table, so it speaks to our mission statement. There's a couple different ones like this with all of our different aprons. I used to post this in all of my parties because I think it's nice to show people that there are different kinds of consultants out there and that you don't have to be fully committed, or that you can do it all online, or that you can do it, you know, just as a hobby, just to get a discount, or you can do it as a career. This is another version of the same thing. I really like this one. I think it's really well put together. Okay. So when to invite versus when to inform. So the best times to invite are at full service checkout or during your 24-hour follow-up call. Whether it's with your host, it would be the 24-hour call before their party, or the 24-hour call right after their party when you wrap things up with them, or the call 24 hours after your guest placed their order. And you can do it virtually in instant messenger or a text message as well. It doesn't have to be done on the phone, but the sooner after the party you do it, the better, because everything is fresh in their mind and they're still excited. So this is just an example of some words to use when you call your host. The 24-hour call to your host. Hi, Julie, this is April with Pamper Chef. I wanted to give you a quick call to say thank you for booking this party with me. We're going to have so much fun. I know that I mentioned this yesterday when you booked your party, but I have to say that you've been on my mind. I think you'd be such a great consultant with Pamper Chef, and I think it would be terrific to have you as part of my team. I'd love to get together for a cup of coffee. I'd love to know what you'd like to hear. So this is what you would say to them right after they book their party, in hopes that you can recruit them to have their party be their kickoff versus a party that you're the consultant on. And then this is some of the wording that you can use on your morning after call to your guests, which would be the morning. Some people call it the Big Mac, the morning after call. A little cheesy, but I mean, whatever helps you remember things. Hi, Sally. This is April with the Pampered Chef. I wanted to give you a quick call to say thank you for attending Julie's party last night. Didn't you have fun? Great. I know I mentioned this yesterday, but I have to say that you've been on my mind. So you'll notice in both instances, I say, I have to say you've been on my mind. You want to make them feel important and you want to make them feel special. You don't want it to sound like it's a cookie cutter thing that you say to everybody. I think you'd be a great consultant with Pampered Chef, and I think you'd be terrific on my team. I'd love to get together for a cup of coffee and talk a little bit more about the business. So there are 2 responses that you're going to get. Yes. There are 3 responses. Yes. And if someone says yes, set up a time immediately on the spot to meet with them and set up a time for as soon as possible. If they say no, see if they want to host a show and try to get them to be a host. And if they say maybe, you're asking maybe now, maybe never. What is maybe? You have to find out what does maybe mean. Because maybe usually means yes, but there's a reason they're hesitating. And if they say yes and you're setting up that time, you really want to make it as soon as possible. Because if they're saying yes, that means they're interested. And if you set a date for 2 weeks from now and they start to tell people, their friend who sells like Rodan and Fields or something, be like, oh, why don't you just sell Rodan and Fields with me in there? You just lost a recruit. So you never know who's at your shows. And I've heard this time and time again on so many trainings that I've done with some of the, most successful people in our companies is never judge, because you truly never know. You can look at people and you look at the lady with the Louis Vuitton bag who looks super well put together and you're like, oh, she would never do this. Like, look at her. She has a $5,000 bag. You never know. That bag could have been bought 10 years ago and she could be laying in bed at night worrying about her lights getting shut off the next day. So there's very well someone in the audience at every party that feels one of these things on this list. Who laid awake last night worrying about their bills? Who cried this morning as she dropped her baby at daycare because she had to go to a job that she hated? Who was wondering when their electricity was going to be shut off? Who needs friends in their life? There are people who join this company having nothing to do with money and everything to do with the social aspect. I love to think that as a team, we all become friends. And it's, if someone that doesn't have friends or they're in a place in their life where they're lonely, this can fill that void for them also. Who's afraid to retire because he or she is afraid of their finances? Who's worried about having money to pay for braces or for a wedding or, like Melinda was saying, for dance, or in my case, I pay for Taekwondo with it, you never know. Who needs money right now for something short term? Not something like a wedding, someone that's getting married that you think is going to need extra money, or someone who's looking to buy a house, or who's miserable at their current job. So ask everyone. Do not judge. Ask everyone. The answer is always no if you don't ask. If you had a plate of cookies, would you only offer it to the people who look like they eat a lot of cookies? Probably not, right? Profiling. But we have an issue where we think that way when it comes to offering the business. It's offering an opportunity. Offer it to everybody. Worst thing that happens, oh, no, thank you. That's not for me. I'm not interested. I'm happy in my current situation. Okay. No sweat off your back, keep it moving. So don't forget that our goal is to be a senior director team by January, followed by an executive team by June. You guys are doing amazing. There's been so much exciting stuff going on in this team. I can't wait to see what the next 6 weeks of this program has to bring for us. And this week's call to action. So practice your recruiting messages and activities that you're going to do at your shows, whether it's your in-homes or your virtual shows. Observe a strong recruiter's show. So if you're doing virtuals, find somebody who's been recruiting heavily, whether it's within our organization or within the Powerhouse, or, if you're on the bigger groups, the Pampered Chef virtual groups, and there's someone that you're idolizing and you're seeing that they're recruiting a lot, ask them if you can watch their virtual show. If you're doing in-homes, do the same thing. You would be surprised. People are very open and welcome to letting you come to watch one of their shows. If you're local, call Jill Lerner, call Sharon Zellen. They would 100% let you come to their shows as long as scheduling works. offer the opportunity to everyone. So if you're at an in-home and you're doing full service checkout, offer it to everybody. If you're doing a virtual and you're not on direct ship now, like I'm on direct ship now, you guys are not, before you close out a party, you should reach out to every single guest. Reach out to them, say, I'm just reviewing your order before I submit the party, compliment them on what they purchased and offer them a business opportunity. Then if they say no, offer them the opportunity to host a party. You should do a full service checkout with every single guest at every single party. Make 15 contacts a week outside of parties. Do a power hour for booking and recruits. And then the call for the week that's part of your homework is Top Recruiters Tell It All with Brenda Copy and Genevieve Black. And again, I'll post that link on our group page tomorrow, along with the I'll post the virtual slides that were earlier on in the presentation as well. That is the last slide. Does anybody have any questions or any comments or anything?
I do actually. During your slide, you were saying the red flags,
Mm-hmm.
the red flags questions for your show.
Yeah.
Now, so one of the questions that was a red flag question was, how many parties did you? Is to me when you say red flag means like a bad thing.
Well, this is the opposite of a bad red flag meaning this is someone that has potential interest in the business and you should focus in on them.
So a red flag means this is a person that you really need to contact.
Correct, because if they're asking you how many shows you do a week, that means in their head they're thinking about how they could make this work.
Okay.
They could it can come from different places. It can come from that they think you do a million shows and they can never make it work, or they're just purely curious. Do you do this every week, or is it something you just do once in a while? So you never know where they're coming from, but it means that the wheels are turning in their head.
Okay. And also I have to say, this is not a part of what you did this week, but you did say something about reading or listening to self-help books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Take the Stairs.
How amazing is
and
that book?
It's so great.
Yeah.
That book is okay. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be 100% real. I was just like, these self-help things, they're like so hokey. I'm like, I'm not going to get anything out of it. But holy moly, did I get a whole bunch out of Take the Stairs. And I was just like, okay, maybe. And it always is. I always find it always is with me, at least. It's my preconceived notions of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I always feel like, okay, this is just going to be so hokey. They're going to tell me stupid stuff that I don't really need and I hear all the time, but it's kind of like corny. But it's actually not. It was really, 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 really good. So and I have to say I was impressed by that, and I really, really liked it. And if you have other recommendations of books, I'd really like them.
I am happy to recommend other books. Let me just tell you a little story, how you say that, you aren't buying into it until you listen to it. So before I did PC, for a long time, Damien, my husband, was really into the book The Secret and the whole, I don't know if any of you have ever read The Secret, but it's all about the power of positivity and you get back what you put out. I spent probably 5 years abusing him for it, making fun of him, telling him, okay, yeah, I'm just going to think there's a parking spot and all of a sudden there's going to be a parking spot. And I busted his balls about it for a very long time. And then I started doing Pampered Chef and I started listening to some of these people who were really successful in the company and hearing them say a lot of the things that he had been saying to me about how your mindset really, affects everything that happens around you. And something clicked, I guess, in me one day where I realized it wasn't just my husband kind of being whatever. And it was actually like a real mentality. I started to read these books and listen to these people. And once you accept that there's more to it, and there's more to, it's not just what you do and where you are today. There's more to like what you're thinking, what you're feeling, the energy you're putting out there, and your mindset. And once you accept that your mindset affects your outcome, it really makes a huge, huge, huge difference. And that's why I put the self-help books or the business books or whatever as part of the requirements for this. I know we're all really busy. I've been reading the same book since we started this. I'm not flying through books by any way, shape, or form. But even if you read or listen to a little bit every week, you're getting it into your head. And if you're getting it into your head, then you're changing tiny little things about yourself, you know, over the span of days, weeks, months, years, and it will come back to you.
Yeah, I actually believe that now, because like, I mean, that book was excellent. I mean, I didn't read it, I listened to it, and I think for me, listening is better for me, because I'm able to stop and take notes and let it marinate in, but
Follow him if you're not already. Follow him on Facebook, because he posts videos all the time, and his videos are amazing.
Okay, I will. I mean, yeah. And if you have anything else that you recommend, I tried to get into that one thing by that Shaprice had suggested. I mean, it's really good. It's just I think I need to listen to it instead of read it.
Which one? I don't know which.
It's called The One Thing.
The One Thing.
Yeah, it's called The One Thing. It's by let me see, Gary Keller.
Okay. The one I'm reading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, or listening to it, and I definitely suggest that. I think that's a good one. Okay. Anything by John Maxwell. John Maxwell has a number of books, and all of his books are really, really great also.
Okay.
All right. Does anybody else have anything? No? All right, guys. Well, I've taken up enough of your Sunday evening, so you guys get back to your Sunday nights. I'm going to go catch up on Nicole's tea party now, because I missed it all, but I definitely want to get some tea. So. All right.
Thank you so much, Erin.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Erin.
Have a good
Bye,
night.
guys.